What is up, guys? Welcome back to this F2 career mode. We are here for episode 16 Monza, round 10 of this F2 championship. Now, there is a very slim possibility that we can clinch the Drivers' Championship this race. We need to outscore Jack Aitken by a grand total of 24 points. Very possible this weekend, and we can do a lot of things to help us with that. We can get a pole position, which is 4 points in the bag, which will lower the gap down to 20 points. 2 points for the fastest lap. We'll then lower it down to 18. So Jack Aitken, depending on how qualifying goes, we can kind of gauge where he would need to finish and obviously where we need to finish in reference to that. But obviously we had the same issues plaguing us as we did in Belgium with the default setup that we run through this series. It's not great. The first run was obviously P20, not ideal, but obviously managed to find a bit of time. We go extremely wide on the exit, and we do manage to come across the line, possibly set another one just in case. We're going to come across the line, and we do set the fastest lap time by not a massive amount, although it does say 8 tenths. Looking back at it later on, it's not that hard, but we're still going to push into turn 1 to try and see if we can make up some more time. It was 2 tenths up in the first corner, and we bail out of that because we were never making that. And then that's obviously our lap invalidated, but we can confirm that we did get pole position here in Monza. So we need to gap Jack Aitken to 20 points, ideally 21, just to make sure it's bang and secured. Obviously being on level points, obviously there's a chance obviously it can go out the way. So if we can beat him by 21 points this race, then obviously that's going to be great. So obviously start with 25 points if we win this race and he doesn't finish. That would be great. It finishes 8th, I believe. Then obviously that's kind of where we want it, 8th, 9th. Obviously 10th and above us, obviously pretty ideal for us. But it's going to be interesting to see if we can do that. Jack Aitken, well, we don't even know where he's starting. We're going to have a look and see exactly where he's starting. But it's definitely it's definitely a tricky one. Like, I'd love to have to wrap it up. You know, Monza would be pretty cool. And even look at the constructors, but as you can see, not in the top 5, not in the top 6. He's there in P8. So what that means, assuming he doesn't get the fastest lap and he stays in P8, we will outscore him by 21 points, which means we would clinch the Drivers' Championship this race. So really important race. Obviously the fastest lap will play a factor in that regard, but it's definitely going to be hard. Obviously we kind of know the Drivers' Championship is hanging in the balance. We've got quite a few rounds to clinch it, but I think definitely driving for the Italian Prema team, obviously that'd be something mega. But we're ready for the lights to go out already, and we get off to, you know what, all things considered, a pretty good start. Antoine Hubert didn't get off to a good start, and Jack just can't be bothered with Jordan King. He's already into turn 1 ahead of us. We managed to maintain the position of on Hubert. Boccolacci in P4, Schumacher P5, battling with Matsushita, so Boccolacci actually drops down, and yeah, King just got off to a phenomenal start, similar to what Mick got off to in France. Yeah, just out of nowhere, absolute godly start. But we're going to defend from Hubert, managed to keep that position pretty tight. So Jordan King is obviously, he's been the biggest thorn in our side. He has been a very good rival throughout this season, and that he doesn't look like he's going to give up too easy. He could potentially be standing between us and this championship at the moment, but we're going to see what we can do against Jordan King and actually hope that he doesn't hold us up too much. We can try and get a gap and then maybe try and filter out and see whereabouts Jack Aitken is on track. I believe at this stage he's still currently in P8, so that obviously works out pretty well for us as we move down into turn 1. Obviously I don't believe DRS is activated this far into the race, so come down into turn 1, it's going to be really tight. He locks up a front right tyre, which might give us a great opportunity, but on power we don't get the great exit. And we're obviously looking in the mirrors a little bit about Hubert, but this time with DRS enabled, we are in the slipstream of our rival Jordan King, fellow Brit. Closing speed is absolutely crazy. He goes defensive into turn 1, and we should get the move done on him before he even reaches the braking zone. Knowing Jordan, he will try and hang it down there inside into the braking zone. He does. We give him a squeeze and we get that move done, and we are up into P1. So our game plan is looking pretty solid at the moment, depending on where Aitken is. Obviously we're going to come across the line. You can see the gap isn't massive, and Jack Aitken actually gets the fastest lap. So currently as it stands, Jack Aitken will be scoring 6 points, which is 2 points not good enough. So if we can try and steal that off of him at some point in this race, that would be ideal for sure. But Jack Aitken currently in P7 as well, so he's making life incredibly hard for us at this stage of the race. Jordan King straight in behind us. It's going to be super tight to clinch at this race. If anything, we're going to be right on the cusp of doing it for the next race. And depending on how things filter out, we may be able to look at the constructors next race as well. And that would be something truly insane for us as an Italian, driving for an Italian team, like constructors and drivers championship at the Italian Grand Prix, the home Grand Prix for Prema. That would be mega. But Ralph Boschung is in P10, Regenson in P9, Guan Yu Zhou in P13. So everything's kind of filtering out now. We're going to try and see if we can spot where Aitken is in the pit lane. Obviously it's going to be kind of hard to judge whereabouts it is, but you can see we've actually lost quite a bit of time on our outlap, and you can see Hubert has actually jumped us for the lead of this race. Obviously he stayed out 1 lap longer. We had a little bit of contact with Nobuharu Matsushita there, so that's not ideal. Hubert actually managed to jump us. We just didn't have the pace on the cold tyres around there, and obviously having the straight line speed disadvantage isn't great, but we managed to catch up to the back of Hubert. He's obviously struggling with warm-up issues as it is, so we're going to tuck in behind him, maybe look to the inside here. Pretty fair from Hubert, hasn't squeezed us. Down the inside we go into Parabolica, and it's going to be crucial that we don't fight him too much, to be fair. At this stage of the race, Jack Aitken is still P7, which is still not good enough, especially with that fastest lap. This is not great, so we're going to need to try and take that from him if possible. You can see we're purple in Sector 2, so maybe if we come across the line and maybe take back the fastest lap, we do indeed. So we're still, again, effectively 2 points out now, minus the fastest lap advantage, so it kind of levels it out to an extent. So it's going to be very, very hit and miss between ourselves and Jack Aitken. You can see Hubert is right on our gearbox as we come to start lap 10. He's going to have an absolute meal of us. I'm going to squeeze him against the pit wall. Not too much, nothing too dangerous, but we've got to be careful because Matsushita is closing in fast on us. He's going to go to the outside, and we're going to have a little bit of contact and squeeze down the inside of Antoine Hubert. We're going to mount the curb to hold on to that P1 position that we had as we crossed the start-finish line. But Jordan King has fallen back behind our teammate, which is good for the constructor standpoint. But you can see in the background, Jordan and Mick, we're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. And here we have Jack Aitken, who's just behind our teammate and Jordan King. So he's now moved up to P6. So he's getting an 8-point net advantage on us at the moment. Plus our 2 points for the fastest lap. He's only really gaining 6. But again, that's not really going to be enough for us, unfortunately. But nonetheless, we are still going to power through and see what we can do. We've got a little bit of gearbox wear, so I was a bit worried about this. Moving through, we did take a little bit more cautiously against Antoine Hubert. As you can see, he closed up to the back of us pretty easy, and we managed to deal with him there. So we are going to have to take it pretty careful. And in the background, you can see we've got a massive battle here between Mick Schumacher, Jordan Aitken. It's crazy, like, why are they with these boys fighting? It looks like Guan Yu Zhou's getting involved, Boccolacci's there. There's so many drivers, and it looks like Aitken's going to have the meal of Jordan King. He's going to be up to P4, so he's going to be scoring 12 points this race. Absolutely puts our hopes and dreams a bit to rest, but Guan Yu Zhou actually takes P4, so that moves Aitken down to 5th, only getting 10 points, but that's still not enough. We're not outscoring him by enough points here, and Hubert is trying to make our lives a little bit more miserable. Going around or outside, we do let him go. We do have the speed carried through the apexes here and take him down the start finish straight. It's really the only opportunity. But the battle between Aitken, Zhou, King and Schumacher, it's so frustrating. Like, there's enough places there that he can fall back if he makes a mistake, or there's a bit of contact. But it just doesn't look like it's going to go our way. Our gearbox on the right hand side, as you can see, is glowing orange on the MFD, and we're getting a little bit concerned. Our engines run a little bit hot as well, so that's obviously not great for ourselves. DRS is obviously wide open, swapping positions with Hubert back and forth each lap. Really isn't doing our race any good. At this point, we're not winning the championship. We're not going to win the championship if we finish P1. So we're not going to take any massive drastic moves, in case there is a retirement, in which case we would need to get P1. But as I talk about retirement, there is a yellow flags are waving, and it's going to be interesting to see who actually gets is going to DNF here. We're waiting to see. We should see it any second now pop up on the screen, and it doesn't, in fact. But we did in fact lose a car. It does look like to be an orange car, and unfortunately it's not the man we want. It's not Aitken. It's I believe it's Boccolacci. So that was so gutting when I saw the little orange dot, then looked up at the positions, obviously saw Aitken still running in P5, so very unlucky. one right car, wrong driver. So nonetheless, we have been passed again once by Hubert and then twice, and I'm pretty sure this is the third time we've been passed by him. So we're going to continue what we normally do, let him get ahead of us down the start finish straight. We'll get that position back. We're a little bit wide on the exit. It's a bit concerning that we are running out of grip quite a bit, and then we are really having to keep an eye on that gearbox now, just in case we do not want a repeat of the first round in Bahrain. If you haven't seen that, then why are you watching this episode? Say the least. We go really deep into turn 1. Just managed to hold off that position, and looking at the gaps there, you can see Aitken and Joe. It's very close, but I don't think we're gonna get lady luck on our side this race. Hubert is sticking with us through here, and we're just managing to keep ahead of him. It's glowing red now on the bottom right hand side, so if we're not careful, we could face a DNF if we're really unlucky. But managed to hold off Hubert through that part of the track. We're going to keep going. Matsushita doing a really solid job again. I've been saying this all season. He is such a solid driver, and if we end up seeing him in F1 later in this career mode, I would not be surprised. I'd love to see Hubert. You never know, if we see Jordan King, the irony of fighting King for a championship would be pretty mega. Same with Aitken. Hubert once again goes for the move under the bridge, and again we're just going to let him go. There's no point fighting it. We're just going to carry on with our business and do what we do best. But for sure, this is super frustrating in this aspect. I mean, we're sat here looking and just thinking like, what more can we do? I mean, obviously we can get the race win and the fastest lap. That's 27 points on the board. We get so close to Hubert into the final corner. Yeah, ultimately it's just not enough. He's got such a good position at this rate that there's nothing we can really do. Maybe have to turn our attention to tomorrow in the sprint race, and then lock up the championship. This time I'm going to go down the inside of Antoine Hubert. It was a little bit later to get past him, especially into the braking zone. We're going to have to see if we can hold him down the inside line. We can indeed, and we retake P1. Now it's the last lap. We've got to try and make sure that we don't actually lose a position. We managed to hold off where we usually lose the move, but this time he's going to make a move into the final corner. He's going to be in the inside. We're going to try and chance around the outside and hope for the best. A lot later on the brakes, the back end slides, all kinds of ways that we do not want it to go. You can see everyone's closed up a little bit. Aitken there, P5. We're going to come across the line. We're going to take a win here in Monza for the Italian team Prema. That's an amazing achievement for the team and for ourselves, but unfortunately it's not enough for the championship. It's sad. It's frustrating. Guan Yu Zhou gets driver of the day, so happy days for him. But for ourselves, little bit disappointing. We couldn't clinch the championship at the earliest opportunity. But nothing on our behalf. There's nothing we could do. We did everything we possibly could. It just came down to Jack having a really good day in the office, pointing to the Veloce logo on our race suit. Yeah, what can I say? Happy with that overall. Race went really quickly. I was kind of somewhat on autopilot for that race, mostly just focusing on where Aitken was and seeing what everyone else could do. But I believe that's Guan Yu Zhou's best race this season, which is really weird. He's traditionally quite a lot better than that, but as you can see, we're getting the Italian fans on our side, taking another selfie with the, I guess you'd call the Tifosi to an extent. I'm pretty sure they're not here for us, but we'll celebrate like they are anyway. But that's a minute for the feature race, more or less. Hubert with another podium. Hubert is on a really good charge, even though that pains me to say. Luckily we're not fighting him for the championship, otherwise it would be really tight, although it would be really cool. But yeah, that's been it for this video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Jack Aitken managing to come home and scoring 10 points makes our life really difficult, but we're going to look at these and what we need for the next race in the next video. Until then, guys, if you have enjoyed, please slap a like on it, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye bye.